What's up, fam? Hope everybody is doing fantastic out there. Today we're taking a look at the third and final from Ferramonster. So this is the third of their 3 designs that we're taking a look at. So taking a look here at the Glideman. This is their smallest offering, and also their least expensive offering as well. Pretty interesting design. This particular one does have a slightly weaker detent for the flipper. However, it does work really well for the reverse flick. We'll talk about that here in just a few minutes, but into some specs on this guy. So taking a look at a 3.05 inch blade and 7.19 inches overall, 3.77 ounces. So not a terrible weight on this blade length. Now you are looking at a 2 3/4 inch blade here as far as an actual cutting edge. You are looking at about a 1/2 inch there for the finger choil. Again, pretty interesting design. This isn't the one that I was the most drawn to out of the three options. This would have been, my kind of the last one that I personally liked as far as looks were concerned. However, I do like the size factor here. I do like having the reverse flickability on this knife. So I am interested to see where they take this particular version. Let's go ahead and jump into some information on the knife. So M390, and they run their M390 at 60 to 62, so it's 61 plus or minus 1. And price tag on these things on their website is $238. However, using my code BEDC will get you 10% off, so that will drop that down to around that $215 price point. So again, for what you're getting, a pretty stellar deal. Let's go ahead and take a look at the knife up close and personal. So this specific one is sold out currently. However, they do have some other variations that are available. So make sure you check out the website and see which options are still out there. But this is their standard kind of blasted titanium. Really nice flat slab-sided scales. You do have some chamfering that runs all the way around. T8 hardware. Their kind of stylized pivot here. And then you do have a very large, generous lanyard hole on this half-length or quarter-length backspacer. And, again, this is just kind of take it or leave it. Having this massive lanyard hole here doesn't really do much for me. But I do get, they want to make sure they include the lanyard, folks. Pocket clip on these always seem to work pretty good. Haven't really had any issues with them. Lock bar cutouts there. The cutout, the relief cuts are done pretty well, nice and chamfered. I don't really see any issues with that snagging on anything. Standard lock bar inserts, again, T8 hardware all the way around. Flipper is done well. You do have some pretty good jimping on the flipper, and it does wrap all the way around. Let's go ahead and flick that out here. So taking a look at a standard kind of a machine satin on this knife, or a really light belt satin. It's not quite to the depth that they have on the Aurora Rays, but again, it is still a really, really nice satin here. No issues with the blade finish whatsoever. You've got kind of a modified sheep's foot here with a nice swedge drop down, almost kind of harpoon shape here on the blade. You got that blade hole cut out there. Only branding on the blade itself is the blade steel, M390 right there. Plunge grind is done pretty well. It's a little late, but because you're in a finger choil, it's not an issue. Sharpening with Ferramonster is always on point. I've never had an issue with their edges out of the box. Everything looks really good there. Straight there on the tip. Lockup is perfect, and centering is perfect. So let's go ahead and jump into the knife itself. Again, it's a really nice kind of a neutral blade shape, or not a neutral blade shape. It's really a nice neutral knife shape. You've got nothing breaking the norm here. You've got a smaller knife with a really substantial choke up point. Personally, I don't think it needed the flipper. I don't care for having the flipper on there. The knife is tuned very well without that flipper. However, it's really easy to fail it on that flipper. I mean, it is really easy to fail. But as far as the reverse flick, the detent is definitely tuned for that reverse flick, at least on this particular one. I'm gonna try to do a thumb flick here, so I can thumb flick it. It's not the easiest one for me to thumb flick, but it is definitely possible. And if I can do it, that means anybody can do it. Push button works better on this one instead of a light switch. So your light switch is a little weak. But again, push button seems to work really well for this particular flipper. Ergonomics, again, you know, choke down feels fine. Not the most comfortable of the ones of any of the knives. Again, I think the top on this for the 3 versions or the 3 models is the Aurora Rays, and then the Urban Grip I think is the next one in line. I do think this one is a honestly leaves a little to be desired in the comfort category compared to the other 2. Now, as far as a knife in its in its own right, it's fine. But when you compare it to the other models from Ferramonster, I do think this one is again lacking just slightly. But if this is one where you really love the looks of it, then you're not going to go wrong with it. Honestly, it is for my hands. It does fit pretty well. Really generous choke up point there. I don't feel any danger of really running up on that blade there. No issues with that. Choke back it's definitely less comfortable in the choke back position. I find myself feeling that pocket clip a little bit and then trying to ride down here underneath the knife. So definitely meant to be choked up here. And that's kind of where it was, where it's happy. So other than that, there's really not a whole lot to talk about on this knife. Again, I kind of wish they would do something with this on the lanyard hole. Kind of streamline this a little bit, because again, you do feel that in that grip. You do feel that kind of digging into your hand a little bit. But let's go ahead and check out the hardware on this thing. Again, all T8 hardware. That one's done well. All your screws are seeming to be done very well. Yeah, so no issues there with the screws. I do think that they are in the same boat as the previous ones I messed with, where they are a little shallow. So that is something I would like to see potentially taking a look at in the future. So, and it doesn't seem like it's all of the screws either. So the pivot there is a little on the shallow side. Lock bar insert's shallow. Body screws are about the same. But then the clip screws are deeper. So the clip screws are cut deeper, so you get more bite with the screwdriver. But these the body screws all seem to be a little more on the shallow side. I don't know if that's by design or what the deal is with that. But it was something that I noticed when I had to take apart the Urban Grip that I had. I noticed that the screws were kind of shallow, and the bit kind of wanted to try to work its way out as you were loosening. So that's just something to be aware of. Make sure that when you are doing any work with these, you are you're making sure you're putting plenty of inward pressure on them to make sure you keep that screwdriver from backing out. Because it is, like I said, it's very easy. Even though these are machined well, it's because you don't have a whole lot of depth to them. The screwdriver or the bit will try to kind of come out of the hole and cause you to round those screws off a little bit. But other than that, like I said, fantastic knife. I really don't have any massive complaints with it. It's just, for me, it doesn't hold up to the other models from Ferramonster. But I am certainly excited to see what these guys do in 2025. I'm hoping that they'll bring a couple new models to the floor and see where they're at. But yeah, anyway, guys, I appreciate each and every one of y'all. As always, please remember to be kind, be humble, and be EDC. Y'all take care.